let's jump over to this story, man. The New York Times reports driver charged with vehicular homicide in death of Seattle protester. The driver, DeWitt Colette, 27, struck 2 protesters with his car early Saturday, one of whom later died, prosecutor said. Now, before we read this, they point out these women are non-binary. These they.
The women?
These they are non-binaries.
These they.
These thems. I don't know what the right word is. What do I call them?
Well,
non-binaries?
Non-binaries.
I honestly,
these non-binaries.
This new thing about
I mean, I'm trying to be lit.
babies. Have you heard this?
Babies?
Babies. I know Lydia's like,
oh man,
she's
that
got a
it?
lot to say. No,
It's
this is a new
ticking me
thing.
off.
Yeah,
Okay.
babies.
They call them babies because they're not giving them a gender.
Yeah,
until
they're
older.
children.
Okay, but we're trying to talk about news,
All
right?
right. All right.
Now, wait, let me
trying
just
to be respectful and
Right.
follow the
That's
rules
right.
of YouTube.
Okay. we're
They're not
following.
women.
Okay.
They're
Theys.
so I don't know what to say.
Theymen.
Theyman?
That sounds terrible.
Theyman?
That kind of works.
No, it's got the word men in it, and that's
No, that's fine.
That's
So does women.
triggering.
We're gonna call them
Point
everybody,
of privilege.
Florbo.
Point of privilege. That triggers me.
Theyman.
Theymen.
I
It
like
has
Theymen.
they're not men.
It's
so
spelled with an I. M-I-N.
No,
Yeah.
no. I think that actually works. I mean that in all sincerity. Theyman.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
and man, as in humans, like man, woman, and theyman. What else? Is there a word on non-binaries? Theyman. Okay. So theymen are non-binary. These theymen are non-binary. So let's see if New York Times gets it right when they talk about
Yeah.
it. Let's read the news here.
I'm holding my breath.
A Seattle man. How do they know that?
Oh. Did he tell them?
Are they assuming his gender?
They sure are.
I mean that literally, though.
look at the beginning of the next paragraph too. The man.
That's so weird that they do
Straight
that.
up.
That is weird that they do that, though.
I mean, at least they're not throwing a race word in there too.
Well, why don't they just say DeWitt Colette? You know, or let's read it. A Seattle man who authorities said drove into a protest on a closed section of Interstate 5 over the weekend, killing one demonstrator, was charged on Wednesday with vehicular homicide, vehicular assault, and reckless driving. The man, DeWitt Colette, 27, is being held with bail set at $1.2 million.
Wow.
Why?
It was an accident.
Yeah, clearly.
Welcome to the morality policing world, man. Get out of the cities, get away from these people, because I'll tell you what, they will break into your house, you will defend yourself, and you will go to prison.
So it seems
They
like
will dance on the highway. Think about how insane that is. I don't care if it's closed or not. This dude clearly wasn't intending to hit them. Now he gets a $1.2 million bail. He gets to go to prison. 2 of the charges, vehicular homicide and vehicular assault, are felonies. A spokesman for the prosecuting attorney's office said they have destroyed this man's life. Now, I get it. He was driving. He hit 2 people. One of them died. They say straight up, it's not murder. It's a manslaughter charge, meaning it was an accident.
Right.
He wasn't supposed to be on the highway. They don't clarify how he got on the highway, but it was not an intentional killing. His life is now over because he is stupid, and that's about it. And they wanted to dance on the highway. The Washington State Patrol and FBI were still investigating the matter, and Mr. Colette could face additional charges, according to a statement from the prosecutor's office. The authorities said that Mr. Colette was driving a white Jaguar XJL when he drove into the protesters at a high rate of speed early on Saturday morning, striking 2 protesters. You see, they just keep saying protesters instead of them or she.
That's safer.
One of them, Summer Taylor of Seattle, died later that day at the hospital. Another protester, Diaz Love of Portland, Oregon, was hospitalized in serious condition. A sobriety test indicated that Mr. Colette was not under the influence at the time, according to a police report. Diaz Love, who, like Summer Taylor, uses non-binary pronouns, shared a hospital selfie on Facebook this week with a message saying that they were alive and stable. No, wait. No, they weren't. One of them died.
they meaning the one person.
She's talking about 2. The paragraph talks about 2 people.
involved.
Yes.
They would have to say they is.
That is
or-
correct.
They is alive and stable. I'm not exaggerating.
No, grammar is being thrown into a blender and shredded
Yep.
because of this.
If you're going to be talking about 2 people, then they must follow a singular. So it should say, they is alive and stable.
That's a good point. That's true.
Because it says, Diaz Love, like Summer Taylor, shared a hospital selfie. I cannot believe Summer was murdered.
Murdered.
They wrote, if they thought this murder would make us back down, they are very wrong. Who's they?
Now who's they?
I can't. This is ridiculous,
Oh my
man.
gosh.
Language is supposed to help us understand what's happening. And I kid you not, when I read this, I was like, wait, they're alive? No, but she was murdered. What is she talking about? Oh, they. What is they talking about?
And it wasn't murder.
It wasn't murder.
Yeah, first of all, it wasn't murder.
I don't know.
She believes it is.
I don't know what to say.
I'm
man.
sorry. They
Look, man, I'll tell you what.
men.
I'm not saying this in
Florbo?
any way to be
I don't know.
disrespectful or funny.
What?
I can't understand when I'm reading and they say, "Oh, you know what they're talking about." If the New York Times writes a paragraph with multiple people in it and then says they are alive, why would I assume a singular at all? So they can't use the pronoun here. It would have to say, to be completely fair, that Diaz Love shared a hospital selfie with a message saying that Diaz was alive. It would have to use her name.
Yeah, you have to use a specific name.
Correct.
Yeah, and then
It's messed up.
Diaz calls it murder.
And you can tell that's the emotional side that will never relinquish, because my friend was murdered. My fellow protester was murdered by this person, and it's like
Vayman.
I read into the police report, and like he constantly was asking if they were okay. He felt terrible. It's like there's no way that they got murdered. That is a ridiculous claim. Like he felt terrible. He has a strong family. Like they're all that immigrated here legally, working. It's like it's sad.
I'm so ready to just shut everything down and just take the van down to the river, man.
I'll take over.
Think about how stupid this is. That the New York Times wrote a nonsensical paragraph to placate this person for this story. Well, they prefer they pronouns, so now we're going to break the paragraph. Basically. And I'm supposed to understand and just know. I tell you this, if a regular person was reading this, they would assume they were both alive.
Yeah.
That's true.
It mentions two people and says they were alive.
Mm-hmm.
And then the very next sentence is, I can't believe they were murdered.
Summer was murdered.
It's like, wait, what? Well, technically it's they, because they're both theys, right?
So dumb.
So
yeah.
They were murdered.
Yeah.
Here they say the episode was followed dozens of similar incidents involving cars striking demonstrators. Yeah, we know all about it. It was not clear which incidents were premeditated and which were prompted by rage as drivers found their routes blocked by protesters. I'll go ahead and say very few of them. There's a story out of New York City. It was on 42nd. It was near, I think near Bryant Park. And an SUV was trying to drive down the street.
Yeah, I saw
that. The protesters run up and block it. The car stops. They start yelling, "You got to go another way," and the guy's just sitting there. The SUV's not moving.
Well, he couldn't. They were surrounding the
They
vehicle.
were jumping on his hood.
Right.
And then somebody says, "Pop his effing tires."
Well, actually, before they even say that, you can hear someone took the thing off.
Yeah, they're hissing. They're draining his tires.
The hissing of the air popping out or coming out.
And then people start hitting the car, and so he speeds up.
Yep.
And they start screaming, "Get out of the way! Get out of the way!" And then he takes off and he drags a bike. And then the story was SUV plows through protesters.
It's crazy,
dude. I'm not in a good mood about any of this stuff. The media has no credibility. Nope. They could have. None of these people actually watched any of the videos.
Correct.
They didn't bother to. They didn't do their job. These people don't do their job anymore. Could you imagine if I hired a plumber and he showed up to your house and just went in the living room and like played video games? You'd be like, "Bro, I'm not hiring you to do this." You'd be like, "Well, I'm on the clock. Too bad."
Yep.
But with journalists, people just assume they must be correct.
Yeah.
The journalists have realized this.
Well, they're not journalists. They're not journalists anymore. They're actors.
I'm talking about NY1.
I know. They're actors.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
They're just TV actors.
Exactly.
And then they just get a robot to write up a generic fake article.
Yep.
No one has any idea what happens. And then everyone else rewrites the same trash. Mr. Colette's lawyer, John Henry Brown, told the AP that he was remorseful over the incident, and there's absolutely nothing political about this case whatsoever. Mr. Colette lives with his parents in Seattle. So what do they got to put up? They got to put up 10% for him to get out of jail?
$120,000.
This guy, he works for DoorDash.
Yeah.
And now he's going to go to prison because he was just dumb. Look, I think these laws are so stupid. So stupid. I'm totally down with prison reform. How does it make sense that someone who did not intend to kill someone is facing a $1.2 million bond?
I don't know.
That does not seem fair.
Right. The criminal intent... Why it's isn't, you know, man.
No, they're using this. They're using this as fuel to burn, to get more angry, emotional outbreaks from the people that they think are winning this civil war, this mental civil war that we keep talking about. That's what it is.
It was an accident.
They're placing their bets.
This guy should have been let go right away. The guy in New York.
Agreed.
The guy in New York got taken into custody
and then released.
No charges.
Yep, exactly. No, I mean, he didn't kill anybody. Granted.
Right.
You know, so this actually did result in a death, which is terrible. But he didn't murder anybody. It was absolutely an accident. They don't know how he got on the highway. For all we know, they could have forgot one of the exit or the entrances. He could have just been going. Yep. Like the GPS might have just been like, take a right onto the entrance, and boom, followed it up.
Did they put a hard roadblock in the highway?
Right? Did they?
What if he got on a long time ago?
Right.
Yeah.
And,
What if he
and
just
we're
made a
reading,
wrong
they
turn?
don't even know yet. So
What if he
how
made-
are they adding this and making this what they're slamming on him when they don't even have all the information
Well,
themselves?
maybe it'll go to trial. Maybe he'll win. But do you think this guy's gonna be able to afford a real attorney, a real lawyer to defend him?
No, I certainly want to give him a little bit of help.
Yeah, seriously.
So I pulled up the state law for Washington. They say vehicular homicide. It is a manslaughter charge. A crime related to manslaughter is vehicular homicide, which is defined as a death caused by any type of motor vehicle, including a car, SUV, taxi, motorcycle, truck, or bus. Under state law, any death that occurs within 3 years after an auto accident due to injuries incurred in the accident can be considered vehicular homicide if the accident was caused by another driver's negligence. Why send someone why charge him with a felony and put him in prison for several years over what's obviously an accident?
Make an example out of him.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But what's that going to do? Nobody knows.
It's going to cause more disruptions, more people being upset.
No, I'm talking about the law in general outside of all of this.
Okay.
Like, these laws are everywhere. It never made sense to me when they're like, somebody is driving a car and it's negligent, not malicious, and they get into an accident and they're sad and they're upset and it was an accident and they have no intent on committing crimes ever again. And so you're like, yeah, but we think we should just totally destroy your life and lock you up for several years.
Yeah, not only do you have the death of someone on your conscience forever
without the intent to actually kill them.
Exactly.
It was an accident. They say accident.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was saying the other day. Like, I feel bad for this guy because, he was in the car. He heard them hit the car.
And he tried stopping.
He continually asked the cops, are they okay? Like,
he tried stopping.
I want to know if they're okay. Please tell me if they're okay. And it's like, man,
him.
he clearly, and they came after him, so he drove further away. It's like, he didn't drive away. He waited for them. Man, I feel bad for him. He's got it on his conscience. It's like, that is enough. That's terrible. He didn't do it on purpose.
It's a Class A felony.
It's insane.
If a person commits vehicular homicide under the influence of drugs or alcohol, an additional 2 years will be added to the sentence. So I believe as a felony, it's probably a minimum of 1 year. I don't know entirely. It could be different in Washington. But what about the people who are on the highway? Don't they have responsibility for breaking the law?
Or who let him there? Who was letting them dance on the highway?
It's not even about who let them. Nobody did. But they broke the law by being on the highway, of obstructing a highway.
That's a good point.
Do they have no responsibility? Are any of these other people going to be arrested?
No.
I'll tell you what. Arrest this guy, lock him up for vehicular homicide. I get it, the law's in the books. And every single person doing that stupid shuffle dance should get charged for whatever the charge is for obstructing a highway. The police won't do it.
And for causing
causing an accident.
For causing a death. Not just an accident.
Every single one
death.
of the people on the highway should be charged with some
accomplice
kind of.
to
I 100% agree with
or
you.
something.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
But this is the name of the game, man. This is why I want to get as far away from these cities as possible.
Yeah.
It is in our faces.
Yep.
You will be driving down the road. They will jump on your car. They will shoot you, and then you will get arrested if you try and do anything.
Yep.
They have given these people carte blanche to just go around and do whatever they want with impunity.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So can the feds come in and do something about this? Not this guy specifically, but they were on an interstate. That's federal jurisdiction, right? How about you charge them, Trump? Charge these people for blocking the highways. They keep doing it across the country. Now, there's no law and order, and it's not going to come from the Republicans. It's not going to come from Trump. I have no faith in anybody. I look at what's going on in New Jersey 2nd with Jeff Van Drew. You know what's going on with this?
No, what is it?
Jeff Van Drew is the guy who switched from Democrat to Republican.
Oh, okay, right.
So now what do we get? We have a district that is traditionally Republican voting in a moderate right-leaning Democrat.
Okay.
Probably the furthest left Republican in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Now that's fine because Jeff Van Drew, I think, is an okay dude. I don't agree with some of them. He's actually further right than I am. But if the whole party is being, if all of our political space is being pulled to the left, that even in this district that's Republican, they're going to vote in, a left-leaning, technically a far left Republican by Republican standards. I'm not convinced that whatever happens in November is going to rectify any of this. These cultural issues have nothing to do with politics, and politics comes so far after the cultural issues, it's pointless. There's nothing. I'm sorry, man. I'm being pessimistic, but I don't know what can be done at this point.
Yeah, and that's actually on that note, it's like they're mixing them both together. So you can't even start an argument because politics, culture, it doesn't matter to them. It's all in this big mess of that's what they're angry about. It's like, well, what are you angry about? Well, the culture and everything, and the society and all political realm. It's everything's fault. So you can't even like start a conversation because it's all of it together. They combined it.
We have jumped so hard into authoritarianism over the past several months.
Yep, you're
over the
absolutely
past
right.
several years, and this is cultural. There is no changing it.
Mm-hmm.
There is no resistance to the authoritarian takeover. There is no Republican. There is no conservative. There is no right-leaning individual that is part of a large resistance group that challenges this stuff. The closest thing you have to it is the intellectual dark web.
Okay.
A group of academics and high-profile individuals and some conservatives who are challenging this. What I mean to say is, of course, there are people who are Trump supporters, conservative, moderate, who all agree this stuff has gone too far. But there is no collective organization that works like the left does to destroy our civil rights and civil liberties.
It's true.
In California, they have literally voted the state assembly and the state senate to repeal civil rights law from their constitution.
Yep.
It is happening in our faces.
It's crazy.
Across this country, morality policing is taking over, and there is no organizing from anyone anywhere to challenge it. There's a little bit, but what ends up happening, and what I've been seeing from a lot of commentators is that conservatives sit back and say, wow, this stuff is bad. I'm going to vote for somebody come November. But the politics comes later. Who's the one who said that politics is
Andrew Breitbart.
Breitbart. Politics is downstream from culture.
That's one of my favorite quotes.
That's why
So
everything
true.
always moves to the far left, because all of these big brands think left is safe. No one knows what the line is for the left,
Right.
and no one is challenging it. And when you do, you get banned.
Well,
Think
there's
about
a few that are standing up right now.
But think about the organizational power of the left. They have dozens to hundreds of nonprofits that manipulate, lie, target, destroy, harass, and the right has people, individuals.
It's true.
And that's the weakness. And that's actually the core philosophy of each side in a sense.
Yeah.
The right is individualist and the left is collectivist.
That's true.
So the left forms a collective, gets a bunch of dumb people to send stupid emails. They go out, they block highways, committing a crime. Nothing happens. They tear down statues. How many people have been arrested for tearing down statues?
Like 5.
And that's Trump.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think-
for
I
the
think a
most
lot
part.
more now.
Yeah.
There was a
How many?
handful of people at the state level who have been arrested.
Okay.
But you look at the sheer number of people who have gone around doing this. Then you look at the people who painted over 2 letters of Black Lives Matter in that California
Hate
town
crime.
getting charged with the hate crime. This is it, man. We saw it with COVID. We see it now with the riots. If you go out and say lockdowns are bad, here's a $500 fine. You go to church. Remember when those people went to church in their cars, and the cop went car to car giving out tickets?
Yep.
Oh yeah, but you can dance on the highway, no problem.
Well, now it's even getting worse. Like, people are going to church, and the Black Lives Matter movement is showing up and screaming at the people going to church.
Yeah.
Yep.
And going into the church and like shutting it down. Shut it down. Black Lives Matter. And it's like, you guys are in the church. Like, what are you fighting against right now? I thought it was police reform, and then now it's, bring down the patriarchy and the nuclear family. And it's like, what is the goal?
I don't think anything's going to stop this.
No.
When Trump supporters, bikers for Trump, came out to that small Ohio town and counter-protested, the media said far right, violent, all that really negative stuff.
Well, I mean, everybody but the far left is far right to them. So, of course.
Because of the cultural institutions being controlled by the ideological left. So I think there's only, I think there's a couple, voting won't change anything. It's too late. Electing a politician won't do anything, because then 2 years later, you will have an ideological backlash from the fact that they're banning conservatives, they're banning moderates. You're not allowed to say certain words or names. So what do you think happens in the next election if Republicans win? The Republicans will do nothing. They will not pass 230 reform. They'll say, well, private corporations, that's a good argument, and they'll argue about it. And then 2 years later, the screeching, reeing left will vote in their people, take the House, and pass hate speech laws. They'll get their Supreme Court, nominees if Trump doesn't win. Then they'll start making rulings on what the First Amendment doesn't actually talk about about hate speech, so we can make hate speech illegal. I don't see a way out unless literally 9 out of 10 Americans stood on their front porch and put a flag up or something asserting that we will not be bullied. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify, and we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.